Good afternoon. I'm your host, Denise Rolark Barnes, publisher of the Washington Informer and the host of Let's Talk. I am so glad to see you this afternoon. We are having a very special Veterans Day edition of Let's Talk on WIN TV because today is Veterans Day. And we thought it was important to take some time to honor the men and women who have worn the uniform, their courage, their sacrifice, and the everyday leadership they bring to our communities. You know, Veterans Day is not just about a moment in history, it's a call to action, to remember, to learn, and to continue supporting those who have served us and their families. Across three powerful conversations, we'll move through time, geography, and experience to illuminate what service means in today's world and how it shapes our schools, our neighborhoods, and our history. You know, my dad was a veteran. My husband's a veteran. My father-in-law is a veteran. So I want to wish all of them who are here with us. And as you know, my dad and my father-in-law are no longer with us, but so many of our veterans have passed on. And we do take Memorial Day to remember them, but we also can take today to be grateful for the service that they've given for all of us. So from the enduring memory of the Civil War and the extraordinary work of preserving Black soldier stories, which we don't get to hear enough of. I think about one of my former professors, Wallace Terry, who wrote the book Bloods, about, you know, a group of Black men in the Vietnam War. Those stories are amazing stories. And sometimes, you know, people, veterans don't like to talk about those times. They come back and they want that piece of life behind them, but they still have memories that they need to share. And actually, some of us want to hear. So we're going to talk about, again, those stories, the concrete support that our local university is offering veteran students, to the leadership journey of today's service members who are breaking barriers, and also what's being done in our community to support those veterans who have become homeless and need all kinds of support, from housing to jobs, education, health. We'll be talking with an organization that supports them as well. So these stories remind us that service is a lifelong journey. And I'm so glad to have among our guests today is Dr. Sequoya Adebayo, who is the director of the Veterans Affairs at the University of District of Columbia. And I'm going to bring her on in just a few minutes. But I just wanted to say that and starting with her, we were trying to get our former council member and the founder of the Civil War Memorial Museum and the statue down off of Florida Avenue, Frank Smith, on with us today. But they're doing or engaged in a very extensive program over there. And if you haven't had a chance to go by, you know, right now they have a project where they are identifying descendants of people, men and women who died in the Black soldiers who died in the Civil War. And so that's an amazing project that's going on. They've identified about 25,000 soldiers. And you can see a photograph of Frank Smith there and a couple of those soldiers that are depicted. And they've even found the ancestors of the soldiers, one of the soldiers that's in that, not the ancestors, the descendants of a couple of those soldiers who are depicted in that monument there, which is located, I think it's on Vermont and Florida Avenue. The museum will be opening. It was supposed to have opened this week, but they're trying to do some more tweaking to it. So we'll be opening in about 2 months. And we look forward to having Frank Smith on once they get to that part of the celebration of this historic memorial. So right now, I think we can move on to our first guest, Dr. Sequoya Adebayo, who's the director of the Veterans Affairs at the University of the District of Columbia, where last week, Angelena Garland served as the Veterans Day keynote speaker at UDC when she offered this amazing message of resilience, opportunity, and community. And we're going to discuss how universities can honor Veterans Day by ensuring access to benefits and other kinds of wonderful services. Later on in the show, I'll just say we're going to be talking to Major Bianca Scott. And as I said, another who is not a veteran yet, but is still currently serving. We'll have her on in just a few, as well as Clifton Lewis with Access what is it? Access
Housing.
Housing DC. Yes. So anyway, Dr. Adebayo, I'm trying to get it all in, but I'm so glad that you were able to join us today. Welcome to Let's
Absolutely.
Talk.
Thank you so much for having me. It is a honor and a pleasure to be here today, especially today on Veterans Day.
Yes, yes, yes. Now, are you a veteran? I should ask.
I am not. I have a lot of family members. My grandfather, my aunts and uncles have all served.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, we have them in our families. Tell
Mhm.
us about the program that you run at the University of the District of Columbia.
Absolutely. So it's exciting to be here to kind of give some recognition because we are the only public institution in Washington, D.C., and we are a land grant university. We are a historically Black institution, and actually, that their status as being an HBCU is what assisted me when I was completing my doctoral program. I looked at the decision making process of Black veterans who elected to attend a public historically Black institution in DC. So essentially, I looked at why students chose UDC over other HBCUs, namely Howard, that's the only other one in DC, or any of the local PWIs. And kind of those pillars that I arrived at was a sense of family, community, support, financing. Us being a public institution, we have the best tuition rate, honestly, in the city. On top of that, we are also what's called a yellow ribbon institution. And so that allows us to make up the difference between in state and out of state tuition rates, which supports the student tremendously. So that's kind of like the pillar of what we do. But in addition, because we look at students holistically, we have different programming that lends to the student as a whole person. We know that these veterans are not monoliths, and we want to make sure that there's something for everyone. It's also cool that I am a woman in this position because a lot of the people in this position are not women. And so it's extra things that I just think of or considerations that I think traditionally men wouldn't think of. Things including programs around domestic violence awareness, maybe we had a program last month about Narcan training and opioid reduction training, things of that nature. We had a Share Your Love for Valentine's Day event. So yeah.
Let me, Dr. Adebayo, I hate to cut you off, but let's go back a little bit because now, how long has this program existed at UDC?
So I've been in my role for 9 years. It was 9 years in September.
Okay.
So there were someone serving veterans in my place, but as far as the programmatic piece and having a holistic department started when I became director.
And if you were to give us sort of a census of the veterans who participate, not only say age wise and
Mhm.
gender, how many people are currently enrolled or could potentially be enrolled in your program, and
Yeah.
men and women, I'm assuming. So it's for anybody that's a veteran. And
Mhm.
do they tend to be like recently? Um, retired from the military, or are they older? Tell us about your student body.
Yeah, so we kind of have everything across the board. Obviously, we're in HBCU, so the majority of our students are Black and Brown. We do have students that aren't, and they fit in just fine. The majority of our students are men that have separated. Um, a lot of them, and the reason why I said separated is because everyone didn't retire per se.
Yeah,
Um,
I couldn't
we
figure
have
out the right word. So,
Yeah, yeah, no worries. We do have men and women who have retired, but a
yeah.
lot of our students have just separated. When their time was up, everyone knows when your time is up, so they separated and decided to enroll in a school. Um, we also have a lot of dependents, so not necessarily veterans, but that service that comes along with being in a household with a veteran. We have a lot of those students too. So right now, I think our veteran population is closer to 150, which doesn't seem like a lot, but during COVID, our numbers went down to like 80. So we've been steadily getting more students into the program, And we have a variety of benefits that we offer, which
Mhm.
I'm sure we'll talk about soon. But
Yeah.
there's a certain population of people that have a service connected disability. We've been steadily increasing that number, and I think that has a lot to do with just the sense of comfort and relationship building that we've been doing in the community.
It's interesting because we know that there are a lot of young people who graduate from high school and
Mm-hmm.
don't know which way to go. And it's these days, I mean, back in the day, let me put it that way, a lot of the guys would just go into the military. That's just, was the easy thing to do. And I know some young folks. We just had a young lady on the show a couple of weeks ago that's has been recruited and is going into the Air Force. But they go in, spend a couple of years just to try to figure out, what direction life they want to take in life. They don't go to war, right? They're just serving. Some do, and then they come back and say, okay, now I've got it. So, what kind of, I guess, academic advice are you giving to these veterans? And for most of them, is there like an area that they tend to pursue more so than others?
Well, that's a loaded question. And
Yeah.
I say that because there is a rule called the 85-15 rule, which was put in place by the VA to ensure that one particular degree program didn't have a majority of veterans. And essentially, at most institutions, it is just like a checks and balance system.
Hmm.
And it kind of discourages students from attending, or for institutions of being kind of like military meals where they're just having a popular major that a lot of veterans would like, and they're just kind of taking their money. But we do have some degree programs that have more veterans than others, but nothing substantial. It's kind of, they're all over the board. And I think initially people think that whatever you did in the service is what you should look into when you're looking at higher institution programs, and it's not it. For some people it is, but most people it's not. I have a lot of students in the mortuary science program. We also have an aviation maintenance program, and I have a lot of students in that program. Um, Business management, psychology are another. Those two are other popular programs. So they're kind of, it really depends, and I think it helps with community and counseling. So we were able to build. We haven't officially gotten the space, but we have a makeshift vet center on campus where we have snacks and we have refrigerator. I always say it has elite snacks and elite drinks in the refrigerator, and it's just a space for community and fellowship for our veterans. And in those conversations, we get to it, so people are able to, if they come in with something that they have in mind, there's always a veteran that we can connect them with that has been down that road or said, hey, have you thought about this? Perspectives that I wouldn't have thought of. I can give them advice from my point of view, but my point of view may not be their point of view or relatable for that matter. Um, we also have an event that we have called Dinner with a Vet. And so we bring an alum from UDC who's obviously a veteran. Um, we started off going to Cheesecake Factory when everyone was slandering Cheesecake Factory. And I'm like, they have everything on the menu. So how can you hate Cheesecake Factory? But we would take them there, and we couldn't buy alcohol, of course, but food and drinks and fellowship. And they were able to talk to a veteran who's been through UDC, who could tell them about other programs, Handshake, the platform for people to find careers and internships, things of those from that student point of view. And now on the other side, they're talking about security clearances, how much money they're making, how their military experience played a role in what they're doing today. So that's another way that we kind of bridge that gap for our students, to actually have somebody boots on the ground to talk to them and help them make those decisions.
UDC is that sounds like an amazing, amazing
Thank
program,
you.
not only for veterans, but just for students in general, but
Yeah.
especially for veterans. But um, a lot of folks come back and they don't understand even their your benefits,
Mhm.
right? And UDC is an affordable institution here in the District of Columbia, particularly for DC residents. So, can we talk a little bit about, again, I know you mentioned it earlier about tuition and how, their VA benefits may factor in, if at all.
Yeah, so I have three different tuition rates, which is quite odd for most schools, but it works in this area because we have the DC rate, we have a metro rate, and we have what's considered an out of state rate. And we have over the years changed the residency requirements. So at one point, you had to have established that residency a year prior to the academic term starting that you wanted to enroll in. Now it's 90 days. So they really are trying to make the university as affordable. If you move to the area, let's say over the summer, and you have that 90 days, you are then able to get the residency of that area opposed to a higher rate. And so for military folks, there are a couple laws and statutes that we use to govern that. It's other paperwork that we can accept to try to get them that lower rate. The
Mhm.
metro rate is 100, maybe $200 more than the DC rate. So the metro rate is still a substantial discount from the out of state rate. And then we also have the DC rate, which is quite affordable. So for if you were doing an undergraduate program, let's say a bachelor's degree in biology, and you were taking 12 credit hours, that tuition rate, not including the fees, there are a couple other fees, but that tuition rate for a DC resident will be $3,888.
Mm.
Whereas the metro rate, so if you live, let's say, right across the line in Maryland, and the metro rate is decided by county. But let's say you lived in Landover in Prince George's County, that rate is closer to 4,100. So you see 3,900, 4,100, and if you were out of state, that tuition will be closer to 8,000.
So
So
are you talking about the rate for veterans or just for students in
well,
general?
that's for all students. So we don't have a specific veteran rate.
So
Yeah.
does the would a veteran be able to use their VA benefits for
Yeah.
to UDC?
Yeah, so if they are eligible for benefits, so we actually don't do the determination if they're
Okay.
eligible and what they're eligible for. They have to bring a paper to us. That form is called a COE or Certificate of Eligibility. It
Mhm.
comes from the VA. They bring it to the institution to me, and I review it to make sure. I check the benefit that they have. There's a portal that I communicate with the VA via, and essentially once they get registered for classes, I'll go in and enter in how many credit hours they're taking and that tuition rate based on what they're registered for. And then based on that and the benefit that they, or entitlement, I call it, that they bring to the university, it'll determine how much the VA is willing to pay. And typically, it's not a lot of students who have out of pocket. There are some opportunities where students have an out of pocket, but for the most part, they're covered.
Yeah, and then some veterans, have had some college,
Yeah.
right? And so they still have some credits, and I guess you would work with them to find out how many of those are still transferable to the
Yeah.
university.
Through the
Mhm.
application process to the institution, students are to submit their academic transcripts from prior institutions. We also accept what's called the JST or the Joint Service Transcript, and we have it's our registrar team that reviews that to give students prior credit as well. So we try to get them in as many credits as they are possible
So
or
the way,
eligible.
if I'm understanding, or maybe I'm not. So let's say if you were, a radio mechanic or whatever you might be in the military, are some of those is what am I trying to say? Is that job? Are there pieces of that job that may be transferable as course credits?
Yeah, so it would it's an internal review that we do.
Okay.
We don't say yes automatically because you could have that you could say that and then when we saw the transcript, it just said reading and writing. So we would actually look at the transcript, the JST, that joint service transcript, and see the dynamics of the class, obviously what you earned. And typically it's pass or fail, but what you earned on that transcript for that particular course in particular, and
Mhm.
then we'll assess credit. It's kind of on one of we have to review it basis. So
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I'm so glad you're here with us today because I really didn't know that this program existed there at UDC. And if, before we close, I mean, is there something you would want to give that like 30-second commercial about why DC residents need to know, share, veterans need to enroll in the program?
Absolutely. So UDC is a space of love and support. Um, we really pride ourselves, and myself especially. I said it in my closing speech during our Veterans Day program. That day, that Veterans Day program is really a manifestation of the love that I have for the work that I do. I support veterans. I love veterans. I'm here to make their journey easier. They did something that I did not. There's a level of sacrifice that they provided that I did not. And so when it comes to school or this academic side, this stuff is easy for me. So I don't mind putting my all in it to make sure that they are supported, that they're matriculating, and that they are graduating. Especially in this area, it's so small, so everyone knows everyone. So I want my name to be represented in rooms that I'm not a part of, that people are are smiling and not frowning. I want my name to be synonymous with she supports veterans. She's a good person, and she's going to look out for people and make sure that they are taken care of. And again, I want them to matriculate and graduate so that they can support their families. I believe that's what it's all about.
You sound like an amazing cheerleader for the program, and amazing help. And at least you give people from talking to you a sense of comfort, when they come in, because sometimes people are intimidated by, you know, things like this. But
I get that all the time too.
yeah,
And I'm like, it's just school. You've been
yeah,
to school before, go to class.
right, right, okay. Well, we're going to put the information back up again about how people can reach out to you and the program, and we wish you much success. Anything coming up that veterans need, like an open house or anything you all doing anytime soon that we need to share?
Not right now. We're putting our spring academic calendar together now. So I should have some things posted on our Instagram page within the next month.
Wonderful. Okay, well, Dr. Adebayo, thank you so much for
Thank you
being
for
with us
having
today.
me.
And
Thank
good
you.
luck. And we look to see what veterans walk across that stage at graduation time in May.
Thank you.
All righty. Have a
Bye.
good one. So now I'm honored. This is not a veteran, but I'm so honored to have a conversation with Major Bianca Ross, who was recently promoted to major in a ceremony on the National Mall with the National Museum of African American History and Culture as a backdrop. Major Ross, welcome to Let's Talk.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very glad to be here.
Yeah, we it's Veterans Day. We can't talk to you about being a veteran because you're not yet. But I know that let me start off with saying still thank you for your service, your continuing service. And do you come from a family of former military folks? Any veterans in your family?
Absolutely. My mother, my father, my brother, my grandfather, his father. I've grown up with it. I've grown up around it. I have a great appreciation for the craft as well as what it has done in uplifting our community. So glad to currently serve, but definitely thankful for those who've served before me.
And tell us a little bit about your role right now, what you do.
Hi, so I'm an executive officer at the National Guard Bureau. So I'm the second hand to my colonel for all the supplies that we send to National Guard soldiers across the 54 states and territories. So, right, over 300,000 soldiers. So I facilitate a lot of that and make sure that our subject matter experts have what they need to give the soldiers, the right assets to do their job.
I know this is off point, but I was talking to some folks the other day about all of the National Guardsmen that are in the city, and a lot of them, whether they're you know welcomed or not, they're a great PR tool. And I'm wondering if there are folks, particularly young people, that are taking the time to really have conversations with them. I mean, as a recruitment, tool. That's what I'm saying. So, we don't talk about the National Guard enough. We don't talk about the military enough, I think, in our communities. And so, to see a woman like yourself, serving in that role, um, what would you say actually to encourage young people to consider military service?
Well, for one, I tell them that, I'm 32, right? I pinned major '04 at the age of 31. I'm the first person in my family on either side, mother or father, to attend college and to graduate and have a graduate degree as also. And I was able to do that, right, because of the benefits. You just spoke with someone who works with veteran affairs at UDC, because of the benefits that, my parents, right, the GI Bill that my parents had, where I was able to go to Clark Atlanta University, a HBC private university that's very expensive, right? Tuition paid, room and board paid, to pay for an apartment so I wouldn't have to work. I would say that it's a very comfortable salary. You can't beat the stability. If you want to see the world, if you want to know what you're capable of, right, and test yourself on some certain things and meet new people, it's a great option. And it's not something that you have to do 20. Well, I think it's the only career you can do 20 years, right, and retire for the rest of your life and get paid the rest of your life. But also, you don't have to. Right, if you're unsure about what your future looks like, you can do 3 years, right, coming out of high school and go to Tokyo or Italy or Fort Hood, Texas, or anything else, and really explore life, get on your own, find yourself, what you like to do, and then go and do that. Right. So the military will give you a great foundation to accomplish the path that you decide to go on.
And when as a little girl growing up, with your mom, I guess you did a lot of traveling, right? With your
Yeah.
parents, or did you? So where were some of the places you got a chance to visit I'm not going to call you a military brat because I don't like that term, but a child of service people.
Well, mainly Countless growing up. Parents retired when I was in about sixth grade or so. But Fort Drum, New York, upstate New York, right, Canada, Fort Stewart, right, so outside of Savannah, Fort Lee outside of Richmond, going to a lot of schools, and even currently serving at Italy, London, Iraq, of course, during deployments, here in Virginia. So doing tours, you going on, and when you are stationed in these places, going to Greece, going to, everywhere you can think of, going to Spain. But it's been quite a journey.
Yeah, I would think so, and an amazing journey. I mean, that again, it's, and I'm not sure if you can really speak to this, but there was a period, I guess, in my father was a Korean War. He fought or served during the Korean War. A lot of my peers' parents were in the Korean War, not World War II, and then post. There are a lot of young people who have family members who've been in wars post that period. But I think about Prairie View, which is where my dad went to school, which was really a great HBCU for promoting people to go into the military. And I'm just wondering about, where we are as a community, an African American community, and our desire to do military service. Something has happened along the way where we don't look at that as an option. And, does that ever sort of cause you pause or make you wonder why?
Well, I wouldn't say that I ask why. I think I have a great understanding of why.
Hmm.
Of course, historically and even sometimes currently, it can look that appear that there's a conflict, right, between our community or our blackness and service. But I will say that despite any of that, I don't let anyone else negotiate my value or what's best for me. And I would recommend that to anyone. And when I think of the Tyler Perry film 6888, I love it so much. When I think of me currently serving and things I've experienced, good and bad, and when I think of Lieutenant Colonel Charity Adams, 1940s, right? You serving in a country and experience, legal and federalized segregation and what they had to experience, but still, with her HBCU education, still leading, still excelling, still going to World War II and, killing the game. And so I'd say we've been prospering for 400 years. We're not going to stop now. And don't let any distractions get in the way of what your path is.
So I would take that your answer applies to women who serve in the military as well, and Black women.
Absolutely. Some of the best officers I know are my fellow Black women officers, and women in general. You know, I think any marginalized group in whatever setting has its challenges, but I think what's important is to never try to overcompensate. Right. I think when you're in a setting and you feel like you need to overcompensate, whether it's being a woman and you need to be more masculine in this, or being Black and you want to play into respectability politics, I absolutely disagree with that. I think when you start doing that, right, you are accepting this subservient role, right, that some may give into you. So I'm like Angel Reese, be your unapologetic, authentic self, and just take up space. Know that you deserve to be there, live your life, and do your best. And I think you can't do your best until you are you.
So when you were, what is it, promoted, I guess, to major, I mentioned that earlier, that it
Mhm.
was at a ceremony held on the National Mall, and it's important. I think that you also wanted to point out the fact that the National Museum of African American History and Culture was in the backdrop of that event. Why was that so important to you?
You know, when I think of it, it wasn't so much even about the promotion itself, but it
Hmm.
really made me think about the journey to get here and about how it correlates and is so similar to so many other, Black women who came before me. And then Major General McNeil had just passed, and 688 the movie had just passed, and I was just reading a lot of stuff, and I'm like, you know what? This is an extension of everything in that museum. Right, I'm able to be here and hold my head high because of everyone in that museum, and so I wanted my story, right, my moment to be a part of that, to pay homage, and to also, show everyone, my peers, they're like, hey, be yourself, be you, regardless. And, we don't need to hide anything about that. I'm very proud of being an HBCU graduate. I'm very proud of being a first generation college graduate. I'm very proud of being Black, a Black woman. I'm very proud of being 6 feet tall, an athlete. And I'm not going to hide for anyone. There's nothing wrong with it. Embracing yourself, your heritage, and history. And so it made it extremely special to me. And I was happy to do it. And after the ceremony, I went inside and actually took a picture in front of the 688 exhibit.
Wow, wow. And I can't let that go by. Are you actually 6 feet tall?
I am
And you're a
72 inches, count them.
and a former athlete?
Yes, I played basketball growing up all the way up to high school. Um, and then started, writing to explore my creative side. But yeah, basketball is my favorite sport.
Amazing. I mean, you don't know when you're sitting in these little Hollywood squares, right?
Right, right, right.
You make me want to sit up a little bit more. Uh, but tell us about the app though. That's what I'm really excited about. Something new that you have just launched, and I want to know a little bit more about what is it? Speak, not talk,
talk,
not
talk,
text.
don't text.
Talk, don't text. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's keep it on here. So, Talk Don't Text. It's a patented social app, and what it does is connect people who are currently inside the same venue, building, or space at the same time, right? So they can socialize or network more comfortably. And so right now, what we're doing is targeting college campuses. We recently did a pop-up launch at Howard University campus. We're working with three student ambassadors over there. Shout out to Adele, Tian, and Malik, who's a Marine veteran. And so what it does is, we'll actually, for with Howard, for an example, be giving Howard's campus, right, if they take us on, their own real-time social hub. So if you have students from California or freshmen from Texas or whatnot, Everyone on the campus is using our app. You simply scroll through the app, and every profile you see, it will be another student on that campus the same time as you. So you can see what you have in common, make friends more, easier. And we're removing that barrier of social anxiety. So people can get more comfortable back into with in-person interaction. So, but whether it's a college campus or even convention centers, right? We're looking at servicing convention centers. So instead of each individual conference having to do their own app, the convention center will have a built-in platform. These Talk Don't Text have a built-in platform. So every conference they host automatically has the our attendee engagement app, and simply send a DM, and you know that person is right there in that conference, in that space, in that venue, the same time you are, so you can instantly go and meet in person and see beforehand what you have in common and maybe want to talk about.
So this encourages, it starts with a search and a text, but it ends up in a conversation, a meeting and a conversation. Is that what it is? And
Exactly,
okay.
exactly. We are, giving you that information beforehand, putting everybody in that space with you in the palm of your hands for your convenience and for your giving you that information, their profile, whatever they wanted to share. So you can quickly break that ice, see if you want to talk, and then you're both in the same place at the same time. So you can instantly meet in person instead of doing, feeling a little weird walking up to strangers.
Well, believe it or not, I'm not one of those people that is really good at that either. I'm good at talking to strangers. It's there's certain environments where I'm not good,
Mm.
right? So I can see where this would work. Um, and I guess what was the problem that you were trying to solve with this? And that is sort of that icebreaker kind of thing, or trying to find, what is it that you're trying to solve with this?
Yeah, so really, well, the story behind it is that I went back home to Atlanta, and I got into a near-death accident with the 18-wheeler. And apps, and by all means necessary, that should have been it. And I thought that was it. And in that second, when I thought it was all over, I was flying across 85. The only thing that popped in my head wasn't fear, wasn't scared or anything, was disappointment or really disbelief, right? That I didn't accomplish more. And from there, I was set on identifying my purpose. And I was always very interested and passionate about people socializing right together and being more transparent and comfortable with that instead of texting all day. And I always saw as technology and in-person interaction as competing. But then I was like, well, instead of competing, what if they complement each other?
Okay.
Right? People are texting instead of the phone call, and because of they're scared of this or not approaching each other in person because of, rejection or whatever else. How can we use the technology that they're comfortable with using and that has efficiencies to help, right, remove those barriers so that they can be more comfortable and interact in person? And so that's the problem we are solving. And our patent, I think our approved patent said we did it very well.
So is it something that someone can, download now? Is it available now, or is it still in a testing mode? Where are you with this?
No, it's available now. It's in the App Store and Android Store. All that needs to happen is whatever venue, or if you have a conference somewhere, you simply go on talknotext.com, register your venue. It'll instantly populate as a check-in option on the app for your attendees. And once the attendees download the app, once they show up to that venue location, they simply check it, hit it from the drop-down menu, and then they get put into your real-time attendee pool with everyone else who's actually at your event or your venue at the same time.
Nice, nice. So it is like other social media platforms. You have to be in it in order to be in it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's a standalone app. So imagine if having like Instagram for your own event or
Right.
something like that. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, it's real time and but in person.
Well, it does work. I mean, now that we're back out, we're out, and about. We're not locked inside like we were during COVID, and people are coming out in mass. They're attending all kinds of events right now. So, and trying to build their social capital, learning and meeting people. So it's perfect. It sounds like a great app, and I wish you luck with that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So we talked about a lot today. We talked about your military service and your the dream that you have created for yourself and for others to benefit from. Any last words that you might want to share with us, particularly on this Veterans Day?
I would like to share with veterans and all service members that your value doesn't end with your service, and the military can be its own separate world. And I know so many times it could be difficult to not have your rank so attached to who you are as a human being. But hey, if you can excel, exceed, and enjoy, right? Enjoy one world, then you certainly can do it in the civilian world and everywhere else. So I just want to say thank you, everyone, for your service. And we're going to keep going up. And I plan to do my part.
Well, thank you so much for yours, Major Bianca Ross. We thank you so much for being with us today, and have a great day.
All right. Thank you.
All righty. All right. So we're going to move on now. We're so happy to have with us Clifton Lewis, who is with Access Housing, right around the corner here in Ward 8. Not far away. Clifton, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Mr. Rolark Bonds. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on your show. Really
Oh, no,
appreciate it. And
thank
we're
you.
not far at all, right around the corner,
I
Southeast
know.
DC.
Thanks for being available, and thanks for what you all do. You all have found a safe place, a clean place, a supportive home for veterans who are in need of housing. Tell us a little bit about Access Housing.
Sure, Access Housing is the oldest transitional housing program in Washington, D.C. We've been around for about 40 years. We provide case management services, suicide prevention, workforce services. Of course, we work directly with the VA. We work with the American Legion. We work with the University of the District of Columbia. We work with the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs. We work with the Mayor's Office of Returned Citizens. We work with the National Coalition of Homeless Veterans. We work with East Seals. We work with just about all the VSOs to provide resources, housing, employment, and supportive services to veterans at our site and veterans in the community. And we're the only organization in the city that has a CBOC, community-based health clinic,
Mm,
attached to our facility, which means any of our veterans that need any type of services, they don't have to go all the way to Urban Street, the medical center. They can come right here to our CBOC and receive care. And over 85% of our veterans that receive care don't live in the facility, but live actually in the community of Washington, D.C., but they come here to receive medical care. And
wow, that's a gift. You just you don't know what's in your own neighborhood until you ask, and so that's fantastic. Um, Now, you said you all been around for 40 years. I remember about 20 years ago. It seems like it hasn't been that long, but I had the opportunity to interview. It was 3 or 4 vets that you had there. It was one from a former Vietnam vet, a one from the Gulf War. I mean, the age group went from something like 80 to 24.
still the same.
Yeah. So what are some of the wars that your veterans, if you can share, have served in?
Desert Storm, the recent wars. We have veterans that served in, all the way back. Some Vietnam veterans. I mean, our veterans age range is from 18 to about 80, like you said.
Mhm.
So we have the whole spectrum of veterans that are in our facility. Of course, the younger generation veterans, they have a stronger skill set, but you have some older veterans that are with us who have more long-term issues, long-term unemployment, long-term period of homelessness. So they need more focused services, and they need longer services. They need more help and more resources to get them back into independent living and hopefully back into permanent housing. We're the only program in the city that offers transitional and permanent housing for homeless veterans and veterans at risk. And we are happy to say that some of the veterans that are with us that's in our permanent housing program have been here for almost 25 to 30 years.
Wow.
So this institution is really a landmark here in Washington, D.C. And our founder, H.R. Crawford, founded Access Housing over 40 years ago. He was riding to a meeting and he saw veterans under a bridge. And he got out of his car and he said, why are you here? They said, we have no place else to go. And he asked them, are you veterans? And they said, yes. So he thought to himself, this shouldn't be. This should not happen in the nation's capital, most powerful city in the world. I need to do something about this. And he started Access Housing. He started with his own funding. And he actually ran Access Housing for a couple of years without any funding from the VA. So all the money that he had to support this program came out of his pocket. And H.R. Crawford is really a figure here, store figure here in Washington, D.C., Southeast D.C. And one of the things that is little known about him is that not only did he take care of homeless veterans and veterans at risk, but a lot of individuals from the community that came to him that needed help, needed housing, and needed resources, he gave them employment. He gave them a job. He gave them support and resources to be able to live because nobody else would take a chance on them or give them any type of help or assistance. So some of those individuals that he employed are still here.
Mm-hmm.
We have a mother and a son that have still been here for almost 20, 30 years. So that's a testament to the services, to the love, to the dedication that this man had and that Access Housing has for the community. And we are very much a fixture in this community, and we love doing what we do. We have Thanksgiving coming up. We were able to get turkey donations. Last year, we got 200 donations. This year, we'll have 500 donations. We got a deep freezer from the American Legion. From the American Legion to support housing those turkeys. And we're going to give those turkeys to our veteran community and to the community at large to make sure we're doing our part to be stewards of the community, to make sure that everyone in the community, not only veterans, have a Thanksgiving meal.
You know, Clifton, Access Housing sort of dropped right into a neighborhood that, it's kind of back up in there, right? And I'm just curious, one, I haven't been there in a while, so I'm looking at the photograph. The building looks like you all have been doing some real development back there. It's beautiful. But how does the program function with the community? What kind of community support, neighborhood support do you all get?
We get a lot of neighborhood support. We get support again. Of course, the VA is our major funder. We have foundation support, individual donor support, of course, veteran support. A lot of organizations that help support veterans. We get support from them. We get food donations in all the time, clothing donations in all the time. And what we're trying to do is, like you said, the building is under redevelopment or renovation. Why? Because it's been around for 30, 40 years. So you can imagine the infrastructure on the system and on the building itself, the piping, the plumbing, the roofing, all of that is 30, 40 years old. So what we want to do is make sure that we renovate the building so that veterans that come after the veterans that are here for another 30, 40 years will have a place to come to if they fall on hard times. So we're undergoing a renovation project. Our building at 840 is in the final stages of being redeveloped. We're super excited about that. We'll be able to offer those new units to the veteran community, and we're working on identifying funding for our building 820 to be renovated so we can make sure that these buildings stand the test of time and they're here the next 30 years, 40 years for veterans that need it.
And unless I missed it, how do veterans get referred to you?
All of our veterans come through our partner, the VA. They have to go through the VA. They have to have a DD-214, of course, are determined eligible to come in, tuberculosis test, and we let them in. All of our veterans, another thing that we're very proud about, all of our veterans that come into our program, all of them get an individual room. No veteran shares a room with anybody else. So they have their own individual space. They have an SRO to be able to come into to help them transition back into permanent housing and to get back on their feet.
Wow. I'm proud of what you all are doing. Would you happen to be a veteran?
I am not a veteran, but let me tell you why I'm here. Let me tell you why I'm sitting in front of you. I am sitting in front of you because of a World War II Army veteran. That veteran was my grandfather, and he was the world to me. And anything he would tell me to do, I would do. I grew up in an informal transitional housing program. Anybody that came into the neighborhood, that came into his home, that did not have a place to go, he would give them advice. He would give them a sandwich, and he would tell them how to circumvent or navigate the system in order to get back on their feet. And he was not my biological grandfather. He was actually my grandmother's boyfriend. She had passed away.
Wow.
And he decided to stay involved in my life and was there until he passed away when I was about 20 years old. And he's the reason why I do this work day in and day out. And I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you today without his guidance, support, his love, and his nurture.
I think about Major Ross, who said right before she ended, that your life is not, it's more than your service, but your service continues, right? And that's a prime example of someone whose service, continued even personally in your life. I'm so glad that you shared that story with us. So is there anything else you want to share with us about Access before we go?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So we have a lot of events coming up. We are so entrenched in the community, and we want to make sure that our community partners and everybody that we are in partnership with knows about what we're doing. The first event coming up is our turkey drive. That is coming up in a couple of weeks. So if you want to donate turkeys to us, you can. We'll be giving those turkeys out to the community and to our homeless veteran community. We'll be supporting that through that turkey drive. So, and that turkey drive, I believe, is from the 20th to the 24th. I believe might be, those dates might not be totally correct, but I can give you the exact dates. But we are doing our turkey drive. So if you want to support that, or if you're in need of a turkey, let us know so we can provide you with that turkey. We have a list. First, we want to give the turkeys to the veterans that are here, to their families, and to any veteran in the community that may need one. But then we want to give any additional turkeys to the community itself. So if you need a turkey, please let us know. We have a farmers market event coming up on the 22nd, where we'll have our first annual inaugural farmers market here on the campus of Access Housing. We'll be doing that with our community partners. We'll have live music. We'll have a picnic. We'll have different vendors that will be selling their different products here in the parking lot. We'll have a lot of our community partners that will be vendors here, supporting what we do and supporting the community itself. We have our Thanksgiving Day event. Any veteran that wants to come up and join that is on November 24th. You are invited to come and do that as well. We have our annual gala down at Busboy and Poet. Super excited about that. We'll have Tommy Davidson as our guest. One of our guest entertainers will be there. Marcus Johnson, Mark and Allison Seymour will be there. Mark Clark and Allison Seymour will be there. So this is our second signature event that we'll be having downtown on K Street at the Busboy and Poets to support Access Housing. Super excited about it. And of course, the last thing is our Christmas event, which is on December 19th. It'll be here at Access Housing from 11 to 2, and we will be giving gifts away to our entire veteran community. Every one of our veterans will be receiving gifts, along with our permanent housing, transitional housing veterans, and a couple of members of our staff who are low income will be getting gifts as well.
Wonderful. I mean, sounds you got a great program, great calendar ahead. Lastly, is there anything the community can do to support what you all are doing there?
Absolutely. The one thing that the community can do is always, we need donations in order to operate. The money that we get from the VA doesn't cover all of our costs. So please go to our website, www.accesshousingdc.org, and hit the donate button and donate to us. No amount of money is too little or too great. Whatever you can afford, whatever you can help to support us, we will love your support. And we will invite you to all of our events. We'll put you on our distribution list so you can stay in touch with what we're doing and in tune with what we're doing and come and be a part of the Access Housing movement.
Well, wonderful. I want to thank you for being with us today, Clifton, and for sharing all this great news and information, and for being in the community and serving like you all do, and helping our veterans. It's really a gift. And so thanks again for joining us.
I want to thank you for inviting me. I want to thank you for letting us be a guest.
All righty. All right. Take care.
You too.
All righty. So this brings us to the end of another segment of Let's Talk. We want to thank Dr. Adebayo, Major Ross, and of course, our most recent guest from Access Housing. Thank you so much for being with us. And to all the veterans who are listening today, we want to thank you for your service and for the families who stand beside you. You know, your sacrifices sustain our country, and your stories deserve to be heard, remembered, and learned from. So for viewers who want to get involved, there are opportunities to support veterans, to volunteer, to study their histories, and to participate in commemorations that extend beyond a single day. So I invite you to connect with the institutions you have heard about, such as the one I mentioned, the African American Civil War Memorial and Museum, the University of the District of Columbia, Columbia's Veteran Services, and leaders who are shaping today's conversations about service and leadership and the needs of veterans like Access Housing. So in closing, thank you so very much for watching. Thank those of you all who are watching who are veterans. Thank you so much for your service. Have a wonderful week.